There you are. Right, it's another artwork video, and we're doing a GMC Motorhome, which you will have seen from the title. Very, very different to last time when we did a Vauxhall Tigra. This time we're going for something massive and weird instead of small and weird. I'm not going to do a big long intro here, we're just going to get straight into it. Go in the description for more information and links and things, and yeah, let's just get on with it, I guess. As usual, I've got my preliminary sketch here. This is what I do off camera. I like to get the first sort of idea down for what angle I want, that sort of thing, before I turn the camera on. I don't like to record all the process. The interesting thing with the GMC Motorhome, from an artwork perspective, is there's very few straight lines on it. You would think, it being just a great big blob of a thing, that there would be more, but no, there's very few. Almost every surface is curved. And that's down to how it's made. I think I'm going to just omit these little handles on the front. Not really sure what they're for, but I don't like how they look. My reference photograph for this one is a van that's had a few modifications over the years and a few things added. Every one of these GMC motorhomes is different, because like anybody's house, they just pick up people's preferences and character. And I think that's what these little handles are. I could be wrong. They might be something else. They might be something that GMC put on from new. If they are, then we'll pretend that the owner of this one didn't like those handles and removed them. You can make whatever story you want for these sorts of things. Right, that is... The real challenge with this one as well, I'm starting on the front because that's the most complicated part, but the real challenge is that all the curves and lines are quite subtle, so anywhere that I've got details, I've got to be very careful that I don't make anything too sharp where it needs to be soft and curved. Especially on the front end, because the whole thing is sort of like a fuselage design, and the grille sort of doesn't stick out, it's sort of flush, and the headlights are sort of pushed behind it, but also on little pods, and then this corner here is very round, and it's a very subtle sort of bit of 70s design, sort of almost space age. So if you look at any sort of sci-fi from the late 60s through the early 70s, you'll see a lot of these sort of elements in there. Less so things like Alien, which is sort of like your gritty industrial side, more like Star Trek, I suppose, and Space 1999, Buck Rogers, those sorts of things. Well, that's its face done. That's probably the hardest part of the whole van to do. I know I'm calling it a van. I think that's a British thing, referring to any sort of mobile home like this as a camper van or just van. Yeah, so the rest of this is fairly straightforward, because as we go back there's less and less details. Everything gets a bit smaller, which is good. One of the other things that I've omitted from this van is, on my reference, there's a satellite dish up here and there's a big awning. And I know it's really common for these to have the awning on the side, but I'm opting not to do it on this one. For a couple of reasons. One, I don't think it looks very nice. The other is the door that you get into this van with is on the other side, and it seems a bit strange to me to have the awning on the side of the van that doesn't have the door. It would just make more sense to me to have the awning over the side you get in and out, because that's something with these vans. They have one side door around about here on that side, and that's how you get in. That's how you get into the vehicle. It's also how you get into the front. There's no doors on the front at all, which is very unusual. So it's you sit up here above the engine, so the engine's in here, and you sit up here, so it's like a cab over design. And it's not, I don't think it's cab forward, I don't think you sit that far forwards, but it is very much a cab over design. I think another thing I'm going to omit here, I like the roof rack that a lot of them have. There's usually a ladder on the back as well, which you wouldn't see from this angle. My reference has what I think is an air conditioning unit in the middle, and I think that's standard on them, and there's a massive box back here, and I think that's a storage box. So I'm going to omit that one. The style of it looks slightly newer than the rest of the van. So we'll keep the air conditioning blister and the roof rack, but we'll do away with this big box. just go. Rough idea for the background here. I think I'm going to go with a sort of seaside beach kind of a thing. Last detail is the stripes, and on this one, for the reference, and on some of the ones I've seen, the stripes are only up to this body line here. This is a seam for this section of the bodywork, which is separate from this section. And I think the reason why sometimes the stripes don't go all the way down is because the van has had work, and you know, it just hasn't been replaced. So on this one I think I'm going to run these stripes all the way down. I think they look better with the stripes, and it's an iconic part of these vans when they have the style stripes down the side of them. I think I already know what colour I'm doing this one as well, so do come back for that video because we will be inking and colouring this piece. Because I was very, very fortunate to see one of these in person, not at a car show, it just drove past, which in the UK is incredibly rare. They're not the sort of thing that you ever see in the UK, and it was enormous. It just looks silly on British roads, it really, really did. And they don't look that big when you see them in America. That's an awkward curve. Oh wow, the whole front end's curved, but not in the way I can do with my French curves. Yeah, I like that. That's our sketch all completed. I'm really happy with this. I'm really glad I finally had a chance to do one of these. The GMC Motorhome is one of my favourite vehicles out there. It's so odd, especially for an American company. It's such an odd, forward-thinking bit of design, looking at how to solve the problems and drawbacks of the vehicles that were available at the time. And it's fascinating. They're amazing things. They have a big following, so it's quite easy to go online and find clubs and forums and just projects variously on the challenges you face with these vans, because, well, they've got curved walls. They're not like your standard motorhome or camper van or trailer, caravan, that sort of thing. They're quite different. One of the other reasons I went with this is I was encouraged by the Budget Builds channel. They've been restoring and renovating a GMC motorhome, taking an approach I really admire, where they've taken trashed new stuff and a trashed old thing and merged them together to make something that's better than the sum of its parts. And they're just good fun to watch. I don't know them personally, they're a way bigger channel than me, and you're probably already watching them if you're watching this. But they're definitely worth checking out. I will see you in the next one. Don't worry, the outro, I'll show you this properly so you can see what we've actually done. And next time we'll get this inked and coloured, and you'll see what colour I'm going to go with on this. It's going to be very, very 70s. I'll see you next time, Tuesday at 3 PM. Thanks for watching.